A new report by international NGO Global Witness says that European timber companies are helping fund the war in the Central African Republic through lucrative deals which they've struck with different militia groups. European companies in 2013 alone paid for $3.7 million to rebels in the form of bribes, to pass roadblocks, for armed escorts, and even to protect their illegal logging sites. So, Jose, we're talking about the CAR, which has been known to be in political instability for quite some time now. And the thing is, what we're seeing is that their trade partners, namely those in Europe, some in Asia as well, they're not really tracking where their money's going and how they're going about doing their businesses. Now, I'm not saying that these companies are on purpose funding these different militia groups which are known to have horrible human track records, but what I'm saying, human rights track records, what I'm saying is they are just not paying attention where their money is going. Okay, basically to break down what's happening in the CAR, we're not going to get into it because it's a very complicated issue, like most issues when you're talking about different militia groups fighting for power. But what happened was in 2013, the Seleka militia, they seized power through a coup. Next year, a coup took over them. But what they did, they dispersed throughout the jungles. That's where they struck these deals with these lucrative deals with all these different companies. They're calling it blood timber now, referring to blood diamonds, because we have all these regulations on diamonds, but not so much on timber. There's this one company, a French timber importer. They're called Atropica Bois. This NGO, Global Witness, they went in, they did an undercover interview with a spokesperson there. And this is what she said. She said, it's Africa. War is so common, we don't really pay attention. It's not a war where they attack white people. It's not a war we have to avoid. Basically what she's saying is it's fine.
It's black
we
it's
don't have to care about it because it's Africa. It doesn't really affect us in any way. What they're saying is black lives, not the same.
Not matter. They don't matter. I mean, this is just another example of centuries of European bleeding, systematic bleeding of developing countries. It happened with Africa. It happens with Africa. It happened in Latin America since the time of the conquest. So what we are seeing is a null practice where European countries feel that they can go into African territory, do their business, not necessarily do their due diligence to see that there's humane treatment or legal issues for that matter. And they profit and they sit back and they profit from this timber without, I mean, we're not even getting into the environmental impact that this business has.
Because they're trusting these illegal logging companies to just be responsible,
exactly.
But they're not.
You know, like the whole system is made in a way that it's irresponsible to the environment, irresponsible to the society of the continent, irresponsible to the shareholders of these companies, because they don't really know that most of that money that they're making is tainted with blood from people that is dying, because these militia groups, they will overtake a whole community if that's what it takes for them to take the forest down.
Right, and if we're going to talk about now former colonial powers, then we're going to talk about France, which was, the CAR was a French colony. Alexandra Pardal, she's a campaign leader for Global Witness. Basically what she's trying to get at here, I'm going to quote her in a second, but what she was talking about is how, these companies are causing so much damage. Meanwhile, these countries in Europe, all across the world, are pouring so much money, not to mention the UN, are pouring so much money to put these UN peacekeepers on the ground and stop this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, we're funding them through the back door. Here's what she said. It is tragically ironic that while European governments invested hundreds of millions of euros in military and peacekeeping operations in the CAR, those same governments have failed to keep conflict timber off EU markets. So there you go. I mean, that kind of sums it up. I mean, look, we're talking about millions of people displaced, thousands of lives taken away through this militia fighting that just seamlessly does not have any end to it. And it's just so sad that somehow, indirectly, we're actually funding them and allowing this to happen. We're talking about millions of dollars that we're giving to these fighters. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
It's the majority of the timber that gets harvested there goes to Europe. So they're the main responsible party for this situation. Not only that, their financial projections for these companies, they're very, very intelligent, and the lobbyists for these companies are very, very intelligent. So I'm pretty sure that amount of money that they're spending in pretending that they care and sending peacekeepers, it's a fraction of the profit that they're making by funding these operations down there. And it's another example of how the global powers to be, they put profit and greed over the well-being of humans.
It's great. And I mean, it's terrible. What's good, though, at least, that we have these NGOs that are coming out, blowing the whistle, at least putting it on the table so that people like you and I talk about it. We saw the same thing with diamonds a long time ago. We saw how that changed. So let's hopefully say that, from now on, maybe people will raise a little bit more awareness to what's going on. Maybe companies in Europe and even in Asia, even the Middle East, will be a little bit more responsible when buying timber. CAR is a huge exporter of timber, so that's very important. We want to know what you guys have to say about all this. These huge corporations in Europe somehow indirectly funding militia groups that are killing innocent people, recruiting child soldiers, causing people to leave their homes. Let us know in the comments below, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the Lib TV for more.